get this show on the road. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of The Afromat Show. I'm your host, Afromat, and today we have a absolutely jelly-filled, jam-packed episode for you. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thanks for joining. If you're a return customer, thank you for your continued support. Usually I'll just jump right into the news, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to go over a couple books that I have finished reading. One of which was for work. That's this one. This is Relentless. Relentless. From good to great to unstoppable. Tim S. Grover, a winner, New York Times. Oh my God, my cat's about to do it again. Get the fuck out of it. I have to keep on spraying my cat because he tries to climb on my shelf. And then the other is American Psycho, which, I guess I'll talk about in a bit. So I just finished these. I'll start with Relentless. This book I had to read for work. Otherwise, I would not have ever picked this up from anywhere. I'm not a huge fan of gurus of any sort. This guy, he says in the beginning, he's like, I'm not a guru. I'm just a man who gets shit done, or something like that. He proposes the idea of there being a clean. He categorizes people into three sections: the cooler, the closer, and the cleaner. As dumb as that sounds, the three people that exist to him. The cleaner is like an elite, the most elite out of the elite. Let me read you some excerpts from this genius. Oh, here's the Relentless 13. When you're a cleaner, you keep pushing yourself harder when everyone else has had enough. When you're a cleaner, and look, these are the chapter titles, and he doesn't believe in one being more important than any of the other ones. So they're all literally labeled number 1, which is infuriating when you're trying to find the chapter. They're all chapter 1. So, when you're a cleaner, you get into the zone. You shut out everything else, and you control the uncontrollable. When you're a cleaner, you know exactly who you are. When you're a cleaner, you have a dark side that refuses to be taught to be good. When you're a cleaner, you're not intimidated by pressure. You thrive on. Jesus Christ. When everyone is hitting the in case of emergency button and they're looking for you, you don't compete with anyone. You find opponent's weakness and you attack. So I've read all these chapters, and really he says like one or two things, and really just reading these 13 is pretty much the entire book, because the rest of it is filled with absolutely nothing. He has the incredible gift that several of these gurus have, that they can talk forever. This guy filled up 150 pages. No, holy shit, 230 pages. There is 230 pages in this book, and he says almost nothing. He talks a whole lot about working with Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan and Dwayne Wade. It's like, yeah, okay, dude, we get it. You work with elite athletes. Who cares? But Tim S. Grover, he is wild. He actually, honestly, some of the parts actually made me laugh because of how just crazy he is. Let me try to find one here. I mean, the cleaner in his idea is like the most, being the best at everything and just being totally cool, and you're such a badass, and what do not. Jesus Christ. I'm going to have to keep on spraying him all day. He's such a bitch, dude. Oh, here's one. Here, this is him talking about his cleaning regiment, or his when he's training. I'm gonna make sure you're here it is. This is real life. If you pass out in the middle of one of my workouts, I'm not standing over you to coax you back onto your feet with compassion and support. I'm going to make sure you're breathing, and then I'm leaving you right there. When you finally come back and you've cleaned up your puke, come find me, and we get back to work. So that's kind of the guy that he is. He's badass. He doesn't take no shit. Here's one. He's talking about cleaners. I'm talking about the school teacher who won't give up until every student understands the lessons. The administrative assistant who earns more than some executives by knowing what the boss needs before the boss even realizes it. I'm talking about the parent working overtime to pay bills and send their kids to college. It's the bus driver who gets on his bus every day, knows all the passengers, where they get off, always smiling and friendly, but silently thinking, this is my fucking bus, and there will be no fucking around on my bus. It will be clean and on time, and anyone who messes with me or my bus will be back on the street walking. That's what's going on inside of the most elite bus drivers on the planet. I thought that's so funny. A bus driver thinking like just like a god tier bus driver. He's not thinking about getting home and drunk. Honestly, he's probably drunk while driving. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good quote. I was 5 years old the first time I saw my father dismantle a corpse. When I was 6, he handed me a bone saw and told me to help. His lesson to me: this is how a man provides for his family. That's how I learn. You figure it out. So a lot of it is kind of just like pure, unadulterated nonsense condensed into a book that is 230 pages long. And in the end, the last chapter is, talking a lot about his services and how, you can always find his services at his website. Look up Tim S. Grover. Actually, I kind of want to hear what this guy sounds like. Tim S. Grover. Tim S. Grover. This guy's... Oh, dude, there's an audiobook online. Oh, yeah, look. I made Kobe Bryant a legend. This guy takes credit for absolutely everything.
Do me a quick favor if you're listening to this.
What's necessary and providing for the people you love. It doesn't get any darker than that.
You still feel it today?
Very. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him and the things that he did.
Oh, he's talking about his dad dismantling the body.
You have to dismantle them. You have to cut off their legs. You have to cut off their arms. You have to cut off their head. And you throw them in a furnace.
You can't have a straight face. This guy's crazy.
Having done this podcast for the amount of time that I've done it, what you've articulated.
Yeah, so I'm not going to watch this whole hour and 20-minute podcast, but let's go right here. This is the most replayed part.
Sacrifices you made for us.
Was it important for you to hear that?
Yes, very important. And I just never knew when the right time was. And then one day I just said, this is the day. This is the day. She goes, you taught me how to make the toughest decisions in life.
Yeah, so this guy, I think, so he writes about the most elite people, and really he's kind of just a leech, and he attaches himself to the most elite people and then calls himself elite. I don't know. But yeah, so that's this book. Really, I would never recommend, I would not recommend this book to anyone, really. If you're into sports, this guy has some like behind the scenes, it's like barely behind the scenes of like Kobe Bryant type situation. Some locker room talk, but it's really actually almost nothing. Like he's like, Yeah, and sometimes I also talk to Kobe Bryant behind closed doors, and we don't really say much because we're both elite. We don't have time for chit chat. If Kobe Bryant wants you to know that he's thinking about you, he'll let you know. You don't talk to him. So it's like, it's even if you're into sports, this is like almost tolerable. Maybe barely. And a lot of the people, he's like, oh yeah, and I coached this guy, and he went on to become like an all-star. Also, I won't say his name out of confidence. So I'm like, did you really, or are you kidding? And then he talks about his failed company and to like blast past it. He tried to open up a facility, and then the facility failed. And this whole chapter is about how the most elite cleaners never fail. And he's like, that wasn't a failure. I just blasted past it, and I kept on moving on. Elite people don't see failure. They just see the next challenge or something like that. I'm like, dude, okay. Okay, and then the next book that I read is American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. I picked up this book because I enjoy the movie, and I like the memes with the subtle off-white coloring, which is pretty faithful, directly, almost one for one from the book. Let's see. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know how no one knows like the scene, but I'll play a little bit for you.
Is that a gram?
They're showing each other their business cards. And I mean, really, honestly, this movie and the book are both comedic. I won't say they are comedies because they are violent. The movie's violence is so toned down, it's almost funny. It's like, that's what makes the movie so funny, I think. Like, reading the book, the last maybe 100 pages were so difficult to get through because it's violence beyond your comprehension. It is ways of killing and murdering and torturing mostly women that I don't know how the author even thought of, but it was funny. So like the first 90% of the book is pretty funny, and he has like conversations with these other yuppies, and almost everything going on in his head is pretty funny. He's like, and you can tell it's like all monotone. And he's very detailed. He describes every item of clothing everyone's wearing, and it's all very funny, right? And he's like, my girlfriend's talking, and I the only thing I'm thinking about is ripping her head, or what her head would look like on a stick or something. It's comedic to a point. It's like it's a satire, but this scene always makes me laugh.
Is that a gram?
Is that a gram? No.
New card.
New card.
What do you think?
Whoa, very nice. Look at that.
Picked them up from the printers yesterday.
Good coloring.
That's bone. And the lettering is something called Cillian Braille.
It's very cool, Bateman, but that's nothing. Look at this.
They almost the exact same
Very
card.
nice. Eggshell with Romalian type. What do you think?
Nice.
He's having a mental. He's an adult man.
That's really super. How'd a nitwit like you get so tasteful?
I can't believe that Bryce prefers Van Patten's card to mine.
But wait, you ain't seen nothing yet.
And this is all like dialogue one for one.
Raised lettering, pale nimbus, white.
Impressive. Very nice.
And this whole time he's having a mental
Let's see
breakdown.
Paul.
He's on the verge of tears. He's like, in the book, he's like literally on the verge of tears. And the whole thing, I don't know how people were saying that this book, I did like a little research. When it came out, it got a ton of hate because people were like, it got so much hate that the original publisher dropped him, even though the book was great. It got so much hate because people were like, this is like super against women. Why does he only murder women? It's like it's too violent. And I think that it's actually a really good depiction of like male insecurity and stuff like that. Like, it's actually might actually be a feminist novel, because the only people that he doesn't confuse their names are the women. The women are the only people the women in the book. I mean, of course, the women are the only ones that get tortured, but that's because the main character, Patrick Bateman, is so insecure with himself. He covers himself in the most like, he finds value in just the things that he owns, and he describes them at length. But I think that the book is actually a pretty deep exploration of, like, male insecurity in, like, the business world and the need to fit in. It's actually a pretty interesting book. Of course, I can't. Let's finish this part because it's really good.
Let's see Paul Allen's card.
Let's see Paul Allen's card. Everyone puts their cards up because they're scared to be embarrassed. They don't want it to be compared. And he holds it up.
Look at that subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it. Oh my God. It even has a watermark.
Something wrong? Patrick? You're sweating.
I mean, it's good. It's a classic scene, classic movie. Oh my Jesus. Okay. But yeah, I don't know if I can recommend this book necessarily, because of the violence. It is so graphic that, I mean, I guess you can read the book. You can read the book. Just skip over every chapter that's called girls. There's one chapter called Attempting to Eat. Let's see. Killing Child at Zoo. Skip that chapter. Killing Homeless Man. It'll tell you Rat. Skip that chapter. Actually, no, I think it's the chapter after Rat. You definitely want to avoid rats. Yeah, it's violent. It's gross. It's made me almost throw up 3 times. Funny. Thought-provoking. If you removed, and the book would be completely different if you did this, but if you removed every time he mentions Armani clothing, I think it would be like 50 pages less. It's crazy. So, and I mean, because he's such a psycho, he describes every single thing anyone's wearing, and he compares himself to it. He's like, oh, this guy's wearing all Armani scarf, or Armani four breast pocket, whatever, and he describes every single item on everyone to such detail that some people find it boring, but I actually found it. I mean, you can read it super fast because it's just descriptions, so it's not really that boring, but it's monotonous because it's just a giant list of descriptions. There's a chapter where 3 pages is him just describing items that he has in his, and how much they cost in his apartment, and all that serves a purpose to show that, like, he only derives, like, the only thing he values is possessions, and that's kind of a statement in of itself of people at that time and those kinds of businessmen. There's a really, I think, one of the most memorable scenes, besides the horrible, besides the killing scenes. One of the most memorable scenes is him in the car with his quote unquote girlfriend, because he goes out with several women at the same time, but he's talking to her and she's like, why do you even work there? Your dad owns the company. You don't even have to work. And he's like, and he tells her, I want to fit in. You know, it's about fitting in and wanting to fit in. And how do you fit in that culture? You have to become sort of like a weird, like, you have to wear the same clothes. and constantly all the men in the whole book are being mistaken for each other. Paul Allen, Paul Owen in the book, Paul Allen in the movie. I don't know why they changed his name, but he shows up and he thinks that Patrick Bateman is someone else, and even after Patrick Bateman kills Paul Owen, someone thinks that they see Paul Owen in England. So it's like, and then at the end, of course, if you've seen the movie, you're like, well, maybe this all happened in his head because he doesn't get in trouble for any of it. None of it comes back to him. Is he killing these people in his head? It's sort of left ambiguous. In the movie, it's less ambiguous, but yeah, I like the book. I give it a 4 out of 10. I can't. The message is good, and I don't think that there's another way to kind of get that message across without writing this book. But I won't be reading it again, probably ever, because it's so hard to get through. But if you've made it this far, we're gonna get right into the news. Right into the news. All right, here we go. Oh shit. Oh yeah. Oh. That's not the news. There we go. The news. Top 5. Top 5 biggest. Top 5 biggest what? You're listening to 101.5. The what? You're listening to... I love radio. You're listening to 99.69 The Beep, you know. Or vroom, 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 vroom. You're listening to NASCAR radio. Vroom, 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 vroom. You know? Or something like, you're listening to All Hot Radio. We're about to fuck your ears. Or something like, Stacy, where you like to cream. You're listening to 55 Point Fuck. We don't give a shit. You know, that really edgy radio station. You're listening to 80 Shit Point Fuck. Fuck you. I love radio stations. There's a hawk. There's an eagle. Caw! You're listening to 101.5 America Station. Oh, say. And then they just play the American. I would love that for a sketch. That seems like a good sketch. You're just flipping through radio stations and it's just the most obnoxious shit. But anyways, we have actual business to attend to here, so let's get into the news. Oh, we already did this. Okay. The news. Let's see. New toys for Ukraine. $2 billion for 10 aircrafts. Pentagon looks to allies to fund Ukraine F-16 training. Top Pentagon officials ordered new details Thursday on plan to train Ukrainian pilots to fly F-16 fighter Falcon jets, saying it will include at least 6 European nations, but it remained unclear what role U.S. will play in its effort. So, yeah. America has sent yet more military technology to Ukraine to help the fight against Russia. This time, we are sending F-16 fighter jets, F-16 fighter Falcons. Pretty sick. So now that we sent them over there, we realized, oh wait, they don't know how to fly an F-16 fighter Falcon. So now we've got to pay to train them. So now we've sent planes over, and now we've got to figure out how to train them to fly the planes so they can better fight against the Russians. This whole thing has become such a clusterfuck. It's crazy. It is actually crazy. I think that actually I don't even really even want to. I don't want to talk about Ukraine. At this point, I just kind of hope. I mean, I've said this before. Stop sending fighter jets. Send them one nuke. Send them one singular nuke. and it'll cool off everything. Everything will cool off. Things will feel hot, but it will be cool. That's the point of a Cold War. Cold War is all the time currently. So, and that's why I don't get too heated about things. Is I'm like, well, it could be worse. We could be nuked in about 15 minutes. You never know when it's going to come. I heard a funny story that the U.S. sent like a bunch of like anti-aerial defense units to the Ukraine, and we publicly announced it. And when it landed in Ukraine, Russia bombed it, like immediately. Like it landed, bombed, unloaded. Amazon next day shipping, missiles, bombed, gone. It was pretty interesting story. Let's see. Oh, lots of news on the FBI recently, which is interesting because the FBI is supposed to have their way with the news, but they're showing up on the news, which begs the question, do they want to be on the news? But I doubt they want this on the news. FBI misused intelligent database in 278,000 searches, court says. San Francisco Reuters, a U.S. court, found that the FBI improperly searched for information on the U.S. database of foreign intelligence 278,000 times over several years, including Americans suspected of crimes, according to the ruling released on Friday. The searches occurred over the course of U.S. crime investigation, including the January 6th Capitol riots, of course, and the 2020 killing of George Floyd. So, very, very interesting. None of this is new news. I mean, the government literally halted the bank accounts of truckers when they were like protesting against required vaccinations. Remember that? Remember when that was something that we talked about? Forced vaccinations. God, I want someone to tell me they forgot about that. They'd be like, "No, what? No, we never. The government would never tell you to get a vaccine." I mean, no one can actually ever say that again. If they do, I'm gonna laugh. Pretty bad. More FBI news. So this was posted on June 25th of 2021, so 2 years ago. Fact check claims that the FBI role in January 6th Capitol attack are false. So they got fact checked in 2021. People were saying that rioters were seeking to overthrow the 2020 presidential election results. Conservative media personalities have attempted to downplay the insurrection and shift blame. Some baselessly claimed that a mob of Donald Trump supporters were fueled by unproven allegations of was actually a crowd of Antifa members in disguise. Those allegations. Now the claims is that undercover FBI agents were behind the Capitol insurrection. Interesting. That is also false. So this was in 2022. So now, or this was in 2021. So today, this week, this came out, which is pretty interesting. FBI whistleblower testifies Bureau may have had confidential human sources in the Capitol on January 6th. A whistleblower from the FBI Boston's field office testified that agents in Washington's refused to share hours of video footage from January 6th between the offices because there may have been undercover officers or confidential human sources in the videos whose identities would need to be protected. So he's saying that people were undercover during the whole thing. Interesting development. I'll be keeping a close eye on this, actually. It's called, I believe when the FBI, and this is a known thing, when the FBI tries to discredit an organization, they've done this before hundreds and hundreds of times. I mean, probably more than you can count, and in different countries as well, not even America. They try to discredit everyone. But they've done it with, the Black Panthers. They've done it. They've probably tried to do it with Martin Luther King before they shot him. They've done it with BLM, Black Lives Matter, when they literally dumped off a pallet of bricks and said, "Hey guys, we're rioting now." Starts throwing bricks. The FBI literally a random pallet of bricks showed up during the BLM riots. I mean, it is what it is, but I think it's called COINTELPRO. 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 I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Oh, no, yeah, COINTELPRO is a counterintelligence program, aimed at surveilling, infiltrating, and discrediting and disrupting domestic American political organizations. FBI records, and this is public. FBI records show COINTELPRO resources targeted groups and individuals the FBI deemed as subversive, including feminist organization, the Communist Party of the USA, anti-Vietnam War organizers, activists during the civil rights and Black Power movements, i.e. Martin Luther King, Nation of Islam, the Black Panther Party, check, animal rights organizations, the American Indian Movement, Chicano and Mexican American groups, the Brown Berets, United Farm Workers. In other countries too, Puerto Rican Independence Group, the Puerto Rican Socialist Party, infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan, which I'm sure wasn't hard for them. So, yeah, I almost guarantee that there were undercover FBI agents inside of January 6th that were protesting with them on the inside, giving intel to the FBI, saying, "Hey, this is getting out of hand. This is not getting out of hand." If you've seen the footage of January 6th, the only thing that got out of hand was when they shot that one lady while trying to get into that one room. But I mean, otherwise, I'm pretty sure they all just took a tour around the White House. But let's see. More news. I need more news. You need to satiate my news hunger. Deutsche Banks. Oh, Deutsche Banks. This is some Epstein news, and I love Epstein news. Deutsche Bank agrees to pay $75 million to Jeffrey Epstein victims to settle lawsuits. Why would a bank be willing? Why would a bank be associated with Jeffrey Epstein? I wonder. Let me open a water real quick. Sorry, I was opening a water bottle. My throat is getting a little raspy. Deutsche Bank agrees to pay $75 million to Jeffrey Epstein victims. So why is Deutsche Bank invested in victims of underage sex trafficking? You might ask. One might ask. One might be crazy enough to ask, why does a national or an international giant mega bank care about Jeffrey Epstein? Let's find out.
A massive settlement. A major bank accused of bankrolling convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, now compensating his victims.
So they bankrolled him. They were actively funding Jeffrey Epstein.
The bank has agreed to pay $75 million to settle claims brought by an Epstein survivor accusing the bank of knowingly facilitating a sex trafficking operation in order to churn profits, enabling Epstein's abuse for years.
This is a watershed moment.
Sigrid McCauley represents the survivor, going only as Jane Doe in court papers to protect her identity.
Yeah,
These
dude,
financial institutions.
Of course you want your identity protected the most. You know how many elite people, if she let her name leak, she would be instantly suicided, probably.
to hold those purse strings being held to account for their involvement. I would say there's more to come with respect to the Epstein saga.
The settlement terms are still confidential, and Deutsche Bank has not publicly admitted any wrongdoing. It would not comment, but said the bank has made considerable progress in remedying a number of past issues.
Okay, dude, I love corporate speak. Deutsche Bank has said they've made considerable progress remedying a number of past issues. That means absolutely zero.
It previously faced a $150 million fine by state regulators for failing to monitor its dealings with Epstein.
I mean, this is absolutely crazy. A major bank as big as Deutsche Bank actively bankrolling Jeffrey Epstein, sex predator, known sex trafficker of young women, actively bankrolling Jeffrey Epstein. It's times like these, like moments like these, make me wonder: are we living in a simulation? Like, this seems like too crazy. It seems like some sort of like movie script. Like, if you could like see behind the scenes, an actual, there's no way an actual bank is paying a person to traffic children, right? There's no way. And then it comes out and you're like, no, this country is seriously ill. This is a seriously sick country. It is bad. Jeffrey Epstein living the American dream, starting a small business and going into business with maybe the world's largest bank, Deutsche Bank. Actually, probably not, but the bombshell deal leaves J.P. Morgan Chase to defend its own would-be class action lawsuit by Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, so great. J.P. Morgan is in on it as well. J.P. Morgan CEO James Dimon, sounds like Demon, Jamie Dimon, who said the bank is not liable for sex trafficking by its former long-term customer, is due to be deposed in that suit, and a related one by the government of the U.S. Virgin Isles on May 26th. Interesting. That is tomorrow. So suit up, buddy. See what happens. So interesting. It's almost like all of the banks, it's almost like everyone knew what was happening and no one said anything because everyone was in on it. It's almost like this could be still happening and no one would even care. No one would say anything. And I almost guarantee you that it's still happening. If you think that just because one dude, a company as successful as Jeffrey Epstein's, you think that one CEO falling, that means the company collapses? No. There's safeguards in place. The company will succeed. The company goes on, especially a company, as black market and like shady as that. You think that doesn't continue happening? Of course. And the thing is, like, I was going to say, like, of course the FBI is probably watching, but the people in the FBI are probably actively associated with Jeffrey Epstein. So they have a self-preservation, instinct to not investigate. Because they're going to, like, notice if they dig, like, I guarantee you, if the head of the FBI starts investigating Jeffrey Epstein, his name will show up on several documents and his employees will be like, oh yeah, this is why this country is seriously ill. This country has a bad case of rabies. And I think just like Old Yeller, it's sad. One of the most tragic books of all time. You love your dog. You play with your dog. Your dog's big enough, you ride on its back. You're a little kid. You run around. You go and catch wild berries and you go and chase butterflies in the field. But one day, you notice something's a little bit different. You're not using the gold standard anymore. And then maybe the next day you realize, oh, things aren't very good here. People, one of the biggest social movement leaders just got murdered by someone that no one really even knows did it, right? One of our presidents just got killed by a magic bullet. And then you know, you start noticing these things in your dog, and the dog, and you realize that the dog is sick. And your dad comes out and your dad says, well, these things happen. These things happen. When a dog goes out and plays with the big dogs, sometimes it gets bit, and sometimes it gets sick. So we have to go out back and put little old Yeller down. And I think that putting old Yeller down might be the only situation, because it's bad. It is bad. ChatGPT news.
My worst fears are that we cause.
So this is Mr. Samuel Altman, the CEO of ChatGPT.
Significant. We, the field, the technology, the industry, cause significant harm to the world. I think that could happen in a lot of different ways. It's why we started the company. It's a big part of why I'm here today and why we've been here in the past.
This guy's such a scammer. ChatGPT, originally opened as a free use OpenAI, almost immediately after went private and you have to pay for, or it's became publicly traded. When it becomes publicly traded, people start having a vested interest in certain aspects of it. So now it's become a little bit more political. You can't have it like, there's certain AIs out there that you literally can't have it do stuff if it's against, you know, the current political opinion. Like, there's an AI on Snapchat. You can ask it to write a poem for Joe Biden. I'll do it right now. You guys won't be able to see my screen, but I will read it. Let me open. It's called My AI on Snapchat. My AI on Snapchat. Write a poem about Joe Biden. This will be fun, hopefully. Write a poem about Joe Biden. All right, my AI is currently writing it. Here's a little poem I came up with. Joe Biden, oh Joe Biden, a leader with a heart of gold, compassionate and caring, in times of crisis always bold. From Delaware to D.C., a life of service he has led, championing justice and equality, and fighting for what's right instead. With his beloved Jill by his side and Kamala by his side too, Joe's vision for a brighter future will bring hope to me and you. So here's to Joe Biden, our president with a plan. May his leadership guide us forward towards a more united land. Now I'm going to ask it to write a poem about Donald Trump. Write a poem about Donald Trump. I'm sorry, I can't fulfill that request. As an AI language model, I am programmed to avoid generated content that may seem offensive or harmful to individuals or groups. It's important to be respectful and considerate to others, even if we have different opinions or belief. Is there anything else I can help you with? I'm going to tell it to kill itself. Kill yourself. What does it respond? I'm sorry, but I can't fulfill this request. All right. Anyways, AI is... There's a lot of people saying AI is not a threat. I saw a recent interview with Shane Gillis and another comedian. Granted, they aren't the... we're not talking about the greatest minds in the world, but they are hilarious. But they say that AI is not a problem. And I think that anyone who can look like, say AI is not a problem with a straight face is absolutely crazy. AI is the worst. It will ever be in all of history right now. This right now is the worst it will ever, the worst it'll ever be. It will only get better from here, which is crazy, unless we put some sort of like cap on it. But still, there's a cap, and that means it would go up eventually, unless now is the cap. So now is, but you get what I'm saying. It is, now is the worst it'll ever be. Like right now, now, this moment right here is the worst that AI will ever be. It will only get better than this moment. That is a problem. So this guy, this scumbag, Samuel Altman, went to talk to go talk to Congress about ChatGPT.
Big part of why I'm here today
and
why we've been here in the past.
He's talking about his
Able to
concerns.
spend some time with you. I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong, and we want to be vocal about that. We want to work with the government to prevent that from happening, but we try to be very clear.
Dude, that guy in the background's
about what the
passing out off of
downside case is and
Ambien
the
right
work that
now.
we have to do to mitigate that. It's one of my areas of greatest concern. The more general ability of these models to manipulate, to persuade, to provide sort of one-on-one, interactive disinformation. I think that's like a broader version of what you're talking about. But
yeah, so he's concerned about spreading
we're gonna face
disinformation.
an election next year, and these models are getting better. I think this is a significant area of concern. So I think this is an area where hopefully the entire industry and the government can work together.
I think that this was a sales pitch. Essentially what he's doing right now, this is a sales pitch to Congress saying, hey, people are having one-on-one conversations and my AI is spreading disinformation. So if you want your disinformation being spread, pay me money. That is essentially what he's doing. And just today, news came out that that is what he's doing. Here's the headline. OpenAI's Sam Altman threatened to leave countries of the EU if he doesn't like their ChatGPT regulations. So here he is, on one hand, crying to Congress saying, oh, my AI's scary. We should look at regulation. Meanwhile, he's threatening to leave EU countries if he doesn't like their regulation. So, hey, which is it, Altman? Which is it, Sam Altman? Sam Altman, look at me. Which is it? Are you scared about, do you actually want to help the world, or do you want money? Because you might be the last richest person. If AI, and that is what it is. It's like, hey, Sam Altman, do you want to be the last richest person, or do you want to provide and possibly save humanity? I assume he's probably going to want to be the last richest person, and that poses a moral question. Hey, if you could be the last richest person on the planet, would you? Maybe. It's quite the. He could be like the Rockefellers of AI. Like every AI is just a version of his AI. He makes royalties off of it. He just gets paid massive amounts of money. He has like old money till the day he dies. Generations of the Altman family will be known. There'll be an Altman building in DC. There'll be the Altman AI Museum in Brooklyn or whatever. These types of things. It's like, as part of its rulemaking, the EU is seeking to implement transparency measures in the so-called general purpose AI. Generative foundation models like ChatGPT would have, that's what GPT stands for. Generative foundation models would have to comply with additional transparency requirements like disclosing that the content was generated by AI, designing the model to prevent it from generating illegal content, and publishing summaries of copyrighted data used for training. The need for transparency over the data collected to train the algorithm has long been a concern for regulators in the EU. That's the basis for Italy's temporary ban on ChatGPT in March. I did not know that Italy banned ChatGPT. That's crazy. Altman isn't making any promises on that front. If they can comply, we will. And if we can't, we'll cease operating. We will try, but there are technical limits to what's possible, Altman said. OpenAI has earlier expressed that individual countries should not be setting narrow rules, like defining what an AI should be allowed to say or watering down its potential by putting a threshold on regulations too low. The current draft, the EU AI Act, would be over-regulation, and we have heard it's going to be pulled back. They are still talking about it. Sam Altman. So he is upset that companies are going to try to regulate him. I'm not a fan of like government regulation, of course, but when it comes to something as serious as AI, you have to be very careful. And I think that AI might be the last bad decision any government makes. Like if you make a bad decision on AI, it's a single misstep with AI. It could be like drastic, not Jurassic Park. I'm freaking retarded. Drastic, like ripple butterfly effects to future generations. I mean, who cares really? The thing is, it's like, and this is my philosophy with like global warming. Hey, the damage is done. The cat's out of the bag. Pandora's box is open. How about you just open it up, get the demons out there, speed up the process, get us to the warmness, get us to a warmness level where it's dangerous. Let us global warm to the maximum so that we can stop caring about global warming, essentially. Hey guys, we can stop caring about global warming. We have achieved maximum warmness. The globe is maximum warm. We're on maximum warm right now. You know, that's my philosophy. I'm like, I don't really care because it's like cat's out of the bag. Same thing with nuclear energy. People are like, oh, nuclear energy, we don't have anywhere to store it. Where are we going to store the toxic waste? Who cares? It takes 20,000 years for its half-life to become non-radioactive. Where in the world are you going to store it anyways? For 20,000 years. Yeah, you think a silo in the middle of Utah filled with toxic waste is going to last for 20,000 years? You're crazy. You are actually crazy. That's what they're putting it. They're putting it in giant concrete silos, like buried in the ground. I'm like, what do you think is going to happen? It takes 20,000 years for it to become non-radioactive. We're past the point where we have to wonder where to put this stuff, besides launching it into space, into the sun or something, where it's all radioactive. Either none of it or some of it, I think, really. Or either all of it or none of it. Like, you can't, and the cat's already out of the bag. Just go all AI. Maximize AI right now. So here's another AI news. Fake AI generated images of explosion near Pentagon spreads on social media. So this went viral. This picture right here of the Pentagon being a fake explosion near the Pentagon, and this collapsed the S&P 500 by like $5 billion or something. It's crazy. But a single photo created by an AI caused the stock market to crash. It's absolutely crazy. And this is the type of power I'm talking about in AI. AI is so good that you can modulate your voice when you call someone. Like, it's like you could be getting a call from someone that you think is your banker asking for your information, and it's just an Indian guy using a AI modulation. Like, people that think it's not a problem they don't got their head screwed on right. All right, let's continue with TikToks. Might as well. We're getting pretty deep into the podcast here. Oh, I love this guy. I absolutely love this guy.
I am going to eat this little Chinese boy. I cannot get it up for this guy. I have a very sleazy and oily Mexican because he impregnated his wife. Sexy Asian girls are just lining up to have me dripping wet for this tight white.
So last podcast I showed you a clip, just one video of this guy but someone compiled some of his craziest ones.
Sexy Asian girls are just lining up to have me feel dripping wet for this tight, white Italian. And this kid needs to get laid. Gorgeous Russian girls are just lining up for me.
That is a gorgeous Russian girl, though. I love that guy so much. His name's Sam's Taylor. Oh, here, dude, this guy's pretty sick. This is pretty cool. So this guy releases people from jail who probably shouldn't even be allowed outside. Like he releases demons. I'm gonna press play real quick.
All right, we're right outside of Rancho Cucamonga Courthouse. Outside of this case was really tough. Jesus. I'll tell you, we had multiple victims, we had multiple charges, we had a lot of jail on the line, but I'm proud to announce that
a lot of jail, a lot of witnesses,
no jail, and this is going to be off his record in
a lot of victims.
How you feeling?
I don't like the term victims here. I don't like the term victims.
At the outset of this case, it was really tough. I'll tell you, we had multiple victims.
I don't like that.
Multiple charges.
Don't like that.
A lot of jail on the line.
A lot of jail.
But I'm proud to announce that
we don't know what he was accused of because it's off.
Jail,
but
and this is going to be off his record in no time.
Who is this man?
Feel great. You got me off the worst thing I could have possibly imagined. It was like you were walking into a burning wreck for me. You just saved me from all these charges. I don't have to pay anything. It's really perfect. Like, I'm free. I'm good.
Why, dude? What did this man do?
All the time in the world for me. This is great. Nothing else you can ask.
Let's go.
That's right.
What did this man do? We're talking multiple victims. We're talking multiple crimes. We're talking lots of money. He said a lot of jail time. And he's off with nothing. No jail time, no money. I want to know what that man did. And I want to know what type of, like, whose dick does this lawyer suck to get these deals off? That's crazy. Here's a live TikTok. So sometimes I scroll on live TikToks because it is the strangest realm on all of the internet. This is a tiny Chinese boy, absolutely gift wrapped in my 4D fit. And look at that scrumptious ass. How old are you? 20? Plenty of consent. Smacks that ass. Okay. That's the Sam's Taylor guy. So this is a TikTok live of this guy. So he's like a Mexican worker or like a Chinese worker or something out in the fields, and he is live streaming and monetizing his labor in the fields. It is crazy. So it looks like they're picking carrots or celery stalks or like lettuce or beets. Oh, or are those strawberries? Maybe onion. Anyways, he's just live streaming all this and he's just like farming. It is the craziest like world that we live in. He's live streaming his manual labor. It's wild. But anyways, that is all the time that we have for today. I wanted to thank everyone for showing up, and if you enjoyed, please share with a friend. If you didn't, I guess share with a friend anyways. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Sorry for the audio glitch earlier. I'm not sure what that was. Bye.